Now we're looking at mobile phone speakers, and you want to just Acoustic3D the consonants, which is not the consonants, the syllables. I got my words right? No, not the vowels. You want to do the consonants, so you want to do the P's, the T's, the S's. That's 1K to 5K. So okay, let's Acoustic3D 1K to 5K. That's about a little speaker, square speaker, about 40mm by 40mm. That's a mobile phone speaker. Why? Well, I can get clarity in conversation, which is a good thing. Why else? Well, it stops feedback as well, Acoustic3D, so I can move the phone away from my head and have a little hologram conversation with someone where the phone is like someone else's head, and you just talk to them. We already do that now with this system in Skype. We basically, I can put my laptop right next to the system, crank it up, and it doesn't feed back, and it's just like you got the person sitting at you. I'm having business meetings like they're sitting at the table with you because of that clarity. So there's an enormous telecommunication market as well.
Sure.
Obviously.
Okay, well that actually brings me to the next point. How will Acoustic3D products be marketed globally? And well, globally.
We're quite focused at the moment on fast-moving consumer goods. That's stuff you sell through Best Buys, through Circuit City, through Harvey Norman and Dick Smith locally, or JB Hi-Fi, that sort of thing. The quantities are massive, and there's no doubt that people don't have great budgets. So I went to a talk against CF Martin, the guitar factory I know well. I went to a talk at the American Olivia Convention 20 years ago when CF Martin III got up and spoke, and he said they always made a quality product that everyone could afford. That was the D18 Martin guitar. The Emergence is something mums and dads can afford. It's less than $1,000, around, somewhere in there. You can get into supreme audiophile sound for $1,000, and it's the amp, it's all the different inputs, it's everything. Get an Apple TV for $129 and plug it straight into the optical link, and you're wirelessly talking to it as well. So we can bring everyone into the world of high-res audiophile. On the other side, you play an MP3 through this, it sounds pretty bloody good. So it won't just make MP3 sound great, That's pretty clear what to do there. The early indications are the market, the quantities could be massive, because who doesn't want a great system for a small amount of money? But that's also a sprinkling of Acoustic3D. If we look at the other high-end market, where we do want to establish the technology, bookend the technology on the other end, that's where we give Acoustic3D, say from 200 Hz to 20K. That's to die for sound. If you've got the money and you've got a home theatre, you can hang this picture frame on the wall. That's 1,000 watts of holographic Acoustic3D sound from 200 Hz up. It should be just awesome. But that same speaker could probably do a movie thing similar too. So I mean, there's another market. One thing we have to do is we've identified a plethora of markets, but we can't be something to everyone. The fast-moving consumer goods is really interesting, but we do want to get a high-end product out fairly quickly, because we want to say to people, hey, it's just not a cheap technology. It can give you superb audiophile three-dimensionality as well, and that is built with that precision componentry that we're talking about.
So these future products you're talking about, are they on the power plant? Are they at the design stage, maybe even at the prototype stage?
Yeah. Prototype stage. We're working with Hypix in the Netherlands. They're actually halfway through the design of the Acoustic3D algorithm model. That's a piece of electronics that will go in the bottom of a floor stander. It will go in the bottom of a two-way, or it can go into the squared series. It's got capacity to do anywhere up to 7 channels. And when we start to simulate the effect of this narrative, we need multiple channels. There's actually 4 channels, 4 different depths in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd need at least 4 channels to simulate that in a 1x7 array. So it can give you the brains to put all your drivers on a flat panel, so you can simulate time delay with actual DSP time delay, and it can do up to 7 channels. So with that, you could do a 3x3 tweeter, a 3x3 mid-range, and 1 spare channel to do the low frequency driver. Or it can do a 7x7 array, 2-dimensional array, where you actually have 7 different channels required. Or you can concatenate, you can actually gang them together into 2 modules and do a 7x7 tweeter and a 7x7 woofer. So we're probably going to have a big crack at making the most beautiful speaker we can possibly do. We've got great industrial designers. machined out of solid aluminium probably. We did some work on this around Christmas time before we went to the CES show. We come back from the CES show showing, okay, there's no, they want something at $500. They don't want something at $500,000. But nonetheless, we want to do that $500,000 or could even cost more product, because that's going to benchmark what can be done with this technology when there's no limitations. And I think that will be a really interesting exercise. Make a very strong statement about Acoustic3D, where it fits in. Acoustic3D is compatible with every other thing. It's compatible with all the DSP manipulation, tricky stuff, sound imaging, Q sound. It's an invisible presence. It doesn't actually cause any incompatibility with any other way you want to do sound or any other system of using sound.
So that's sonically. What about integration into existing amplification systems, multi-channel systems and so on?
The Acoustic3D on the reflector system does require a fair bit of EQ. So making it active and putting the DSP inside is a good thing. It allows us to give, we have 50 channels of biquad in this to equalise it, so we can just equalise a great sound. When we get into the flat panel arrays, we don't quite yet know what EQ they may need. In theory, very little. But nonetheless, what we might get into is playing with wicker bands. As wicker bands are where the 32 channels that the ear listens to sound with. So we could actually get into a 7x7 array and actually put out different fractal patterns at different wicker bands to simulate different scales. This gives different paths for the brain to actually analyse what's going on within that band of frequencies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we mentioned CES, you mentioned CES briefly. Now, that's basically the mecca for products, but it's also a pool of potential distributorship or potential distributors. Will Acoustic3D be launching or participating in any way at the upcoming CES in 2012?
We'll probably have private invitation viewings. We probably won't be on the floor. That is because we want a soft launch in Australia, the consumer stuff, early in that year. Our chairman has got Six Sigma Lean manufacturing skills. Mm-hmm. I've got some pretty good quality QA skills, but we want to start slow. We don't want an avalanche of orders right now. That's not a good thing. There might be some big corporation with that infrastructure wants to acquire us, and they can put it into their manufacturing system quickly. But the smart thing for us is going through a system of proofing the concept in the local market, and then going to contract manufacturing, which may have the capacity to produce enormous quantities. You want to get that sorted out before you go to the USA market, because our early indications are saying that the quantities are going to be quite ridiculous. Depending on how aggressive we want to be on price point with this little system, we could be looking at just an absolute avalanche of orders. So basically, you don't want to go in there without having a lot of things sort of sorted out. The good thing about being in a position ready to take orders, we think this build, which is the combination of parts, is good. It's good to go. But again, we want to probably do a 500 run in the first month, 1,000 run the second month, 2,000 the third month. And it's more about when there's no problems, we go to what's called V0 production, which means that's ready to go into the documentation that supports the manufacturing is ready to go into contract manufacture. And against that will be liquidated damages, which is financial penalties if you don't follow the recipe, and we know that the recipe is right. And then we can throw it into a factory in Europe to supply Europe, a factory in the States to supply the States, or in Asia, whatever. That process of proofing a product in the local Australian market is what the directors have committed to. So again, hopefully we'll have a squared series on display at the CES show too. That's a different distribution model. When you look at Best Buys, we don't need a distributor. We just talk to Best Buys ourselves and do a deal with Best Buys ourselves. No one in the middle. But if you look at the high-end stuff, you do need a distributor where someone in the country imports it and deals with the hundreds of thousands of shops that are individual retailers that can support them and help introduce the product. So that's a completely different system. So yeah, we may well be ready then as well. But we certainly know on the fast-moving consumer goods, probably from July in 2012 in the States, we're hopefully to have a great year, have all our manufacturing sorted, and be able to supply that July to December market with potentially hundreds of thousands of product.
I think that's a good point to stop it. Yeah, that's good, because that will follow on to the next interview